Yes, yes, very good.
Okay, thanks. I'll try once again to get the slide shared. Does it? Now it comes. It's coming. Yep, it works.
Yeah, good.
Yes, okay, now you see them. So let me first say that a bit of my background, because actually in this very interesting workshop and conference you are having, so I'm actually representing all the cities and regions in Europe. So I've been the president of that European Committee of the Region, and we are officially part of the European Union decision-making, representing the voice of cities and regions. We have around 350 members, mayors, regional presidents, councillors from all parts of Europe. And as well, during the last years, I've been the co-chair on the Assembly of Euro-Mediterranean Local and Regional Assembly. So on that, so I've as well contributed a lot on the work of the Islamic world. And on that, let's say my own strong focus is especially on learning and knowledge, how to share the knowledge, and how we can co-create the knowledge. And on this, the Arlem collaboration, and previously, I remember clearly Professor Anand Badran from his role within the UNESCO when we met several times during that, and I was as well invited to come to conferences in many parts of the Islamic world, especially, let's say, Damascus, when Damascus was not at all destroyed as it's today. I was in Bahrain. I've been several times to Morocco and Tunis and so on. And last but not least, so a bit more than a year ago in Palestine, in Ramallah. But now let's think about this science and technology policy, because first, really, I wanted to start with stressing the importance of knowledge. And knowledge, actually, this is a kind of a list of key focus areas which I prepared more for myself when I became the, let's say, member of this European Committee of the Region. So what I wanted to reach there, and I got, let's say, so much support from the other members that after 5 years serving as a normal member, I was elected to be the president of that. And during the 2.5-year presidency, I was visiting all EU member countries and talking there especially about the importance of knowledge co-creation, knowledge sharing, and what does learning, lifelong learning and professional development mean, and especially nicely, very strongly along the lines of His Royal Highness El Hassan, what you just said. But let me there stress that this human capital, it's the capital that we can increase all the time, but that is increasing when we meet with people and integrate to that the creativity and innovativeness. EU policy, creativity and innovativeness are growing. The importance of them is growing very much, and that comes a crucial part of science and technology policy as well. And I will come later on that how we can see that in the key elements of the EU policy. And as stressed already in advance, the abstract of Professor Badran, where he talked about the investments in research, development and innovation. And I'm happy to say that actually Finland and a few other Nordic countries, Baltic Sea countries, we have been at the forefront of that development. Our speciality that we've been able to encourage our industry to invest in research as well. And that with that, we reached the level of 3% of our national GDP already in the 90s in Finland, and then moved on further Now, during recent years with the recession, we've set a bit back, but we are coming again. And EU is increasing the investments in research and development. And on that, so especially now the digitalization, of course, I would have been much eager to join you there in Jordan, but now through what we have experienced through the COVID-19 is so that we have regularly several times per week these kind of meetings around globally. And that means that we can move ahead. There, number 6, the point is regional place-based innovation ecosystem. And that is not, there I don't mean only the let's say, broad region like the Baltic Sea region, but I especially want to stress that inside each city or each bigger city, our activities are changing so that we share these processes of knowledge creation, and that operates as an ecosystem. And as an example, you talked a bit about Germany in the openings, and if we take Berlin as a good example, so Berlin as such, of course, Berlin and Brandenburg, the region around, it's one ecosystem, but it's actually several ecosystems. So Berlin is an ecosystem of several ecosystems. One of those ecosystems is on focusing on creativity and cultural aspects, other one on chemical engineering, others on health and so on. And I here write that with the previous term of office in the EU policy, Horizon really was not only building our vision for the future, but it was our research program, and the target was really to influence on smart, sustainable, inclusive growth. And then on that, so the EU Horizon research program, it operated on kind of 3 basic pillars: societal challenges, industrial leadership, and especially scientific excellence, which has been really the kind of traditional focus of research in the European Union side as well. But here I want to stress that EU financing on research, if we compare that to the financing of research in general in the member states, in Finland and the others, it's only 4-5%, so it's small marginal part, but it's influential, it's important. So it's because it's creating the collaboration mentality, and it's creating kind of energizing the activities. And here, when I added on the picture the key instruments, so within the last 5 to 7 years, so smart specialization, which means that every EU region or small countries, the country prepared their own innovation policy strategy, focusing on a few priorities. And on a European level, it means as well so that we started to build more European partnerships. So regions with their industry, with their academia, even with their citizens, started new partnership programs with the other regions with the similar focused interest. And on that, so this has been increasing heavily. We've used several of the EU finance instruments, Interreg and the others, and started to operate what we can get more out of the internet as well, digitalization, what does mean. Here is a short summary of kind of what lessons were learned, EU interim evaluation report of this previous now term of office of the Horizon 2020. This is the, let's say, the turning point. EU has not yet been able to make the final decisions of the multi-annual financial framework. The new 7-year program period starts actually 2021, so it should start using the new financing as well from next January. But that's not a reality. German Chancellor Merkel tries to solve the problems now, what we have still to get the unified joint decision. But there, And the lessons, let me show especially that the support for breakthrough innovation, we've started to look more the need for sharing resources, building kind of critical mass, what the universities have talked a lot throughout their history. But sharing the resources on what we call now the mission oriented, and on that, so I will soon have a slide on what they are. And this is as well strengthening international cooperation, and part of the new financial framework. EU is increasing the investments on external relations, and we at the Committee of the Region, we would definitely want to see that part of that financing to be used for the Mediterranean collaboration as well, including, of course, the new. This is the new structure of Horizon Europe, what is called now for the next 7 years from 21 to 27. It still has the basic pillars now defined as excellent science, global challenge and industrial competitiveness and innovation. So many of these elements are still the same, but kind of renewed based on the lessons learned and increasing the, let's say, the competence development inside these. And what is there new is that the EU is encouraging especially the city-driven regions to focus on European innovation ecosystems, and actually a new word which does not exist here yet is that use the European research area for kind of city-driven hubs. So get the resources, work more, so what the societal development, what the lifelong learning, professional development, what we can get and should get out of these research programs. And here are the 5 missions in research, and most likely you've heard and read about those. Actually, there has been a special expert teams on each of these, and they prepare the working plan now, and officially they are now in the approval process, and the missions will be launched soon, more or less next summer. And we want to get our, let's say, representatives from strong universities, but as well strong cities to be included on these mission teams. And let's take just one example there on the left-hand bottom corner, climate neutral and smart cities. That will be where the target is to have around 100 cities or regions who are committed to make them carbon neutral already by 2030. So in 10 years time, and I'm happy that my city, Espoo, the second largest city, part of the Helsinki metropolitan, we are one of those, so we committed and we are working on that. What are the concrete measures that we do along with the scientific community, along with the companies, international energy companies and others, so how we can make the transformation to happen and how we can and will share the outcomes. This here is one of the new strong instruments that has been developed about 10 years ago, started the EIT Institute, European Institute of Innovation and Technology. That's operating kind of spread around Europe. So we have the knowledge innovation communities where the local universities, research centers and industry share their commitment and resources, focusing on a certain focus areas. And there on the slide, there is as well the themes of those: climate, digital, food, raw materials, innovative energy, health, manufacturing, and as well urban mobility. And there will be a new one on focusing especially on creativity. And those are not only one place-based knowledge community, but they originally were around five or so communities in different parts of Europe, elected, nominated on a very strong, let's say, academic criteria, science and technology criteria, so that they were really to be the forerunners and share their knowledge with the others. So they are operating as network units, these knowledge innovation communities. And now in the new Science and Technology and Research Horizon Europe, so these will be better integrated to the European Innovation Council work and to the innovation policy. And now let's move further. I then took especially the elements of knowledge triangle, because that globally, especially, I would say that is crucial, so that we integrate research, education, and innovation strongly together. And 2009, so 10 or 11 years ago, the European Council decided that let's move on and develop more coherence between policies in education, research, and education, accelerate the pedagogical aspects of that, build more partnership with universities and business throughout Europe, and focus especially on encouraging the innovation culture in universities. And what that meant as well was that this pedagogical and learning aspect came much stronger on the activities. And here, just a few in this slide, a few of those, let's say, key clarifying statements, so that it really means that we can create new ideas and innovations by coming together of different kinds of knowledge and through the curiosity-driven search for new knowledge. And it means really that people with different ages, with different cultural backgrounds, people from different parts of the world should come together face to face, of course, but it can be partly be through the virtual networking as well. And this means as well a strong commitment to develop these local innovation ecosystems with the financing support, kind of encouraging, creating favorable conditions by the European Union financing, by the government financing. But there, as I state that at the Committee of the Region, we defined already that the laboratories for innovation are no longer traditional university labs, separate ones, but regional innovation ecosystems operating as test beds, rapid prototyping, sharing, and the EU, especially through its joint research center, where EU in different places in the Europe has around 3,000 researchers, and one of their targets is to support policy making. So with them, we've organized several seminars, conferences on Science Meet Region, Science Meet Parliament, and on that, so that we help the political decision making in all parts of Europe. And that means as well, so they prepared actually together with the Committee of the Region special guidebook, handbooks on how to organize local regional innovation camps, or how to implement the UN SDGs and so on. And here a kind of visual picture about this, how to move on with the knowledge triangle. So here in the triangle, you see innovation, research, and education, and orchestration, how to organize these activities. We need new kinds of people, facilitators, operational architects and so on. And what I've added there that we need to integrate this to a certain kind of platform thinking, platform for working life development, platform for blended learning, platform for source, foresight and co-creation. A lot of these platforms are typically thematic, discipline based, but I encourage to move more on the, let's say, a human capital focus. So what is needed in the processes of learning. And here a couple of the more extra. So especially it means that when we think about this knowledge triangle, it means modernizing the triple helix. So not anymore just industry to work with universities and with cities, but really this citizen-driven development so that everyone can contribute and everyone has a role to play. And I don't go this into more detail, but that's for your information, and you will get the slides for your use and your own sharing and creating new knowledge. And this is an example, one of the how this knowledge triangle was implemented when this EIT Digital started. So they created this, they kind of integrated locally, and one of those communities units is within my Alto Espoo garden center there. So they have there, they organize a lot of master's programs for people, participants from around the world. They've integrated their work to research at the university and at the Technical Research Center of Finland, and through those with the global research network. But now what is coming strongly in recent years is as well so that they want to integrate that to the societal development, kind of societal innovations, what new structures, what new processes are needed with the city council, so that our secondary school, our vocational education, and citizens' cultural sector is better integrated to this new knowledge creation. And as is there at the bottom, so key performance indicators are needed to follow on that, and again sharing the experiences globally. So this is one of the issues that we definitely could share, link this to this regional smart specialization strategies that thanks to the EU financing and especially European Training Foundation headquartered in Torino, in Turin, in Italy. So with them we have worked as well, our cities have worked in several other countries outside EU as well. Good example is Tunis, where a few of these kind of regional programs have been started, kind of experimenting that use. And that is something that you as well, you can, let's say, challenge EU to move to this kind of concrete action where this education, research and innovation is integrated to the local ecosystem development. This I just wanted to say that it's as in science everywhere, it's a long-term commitment, and this EU expert group already worked 6-7 years ago, and it provided some kind of recommendations for the EU policy. I just wanted to highlight there the second one, that provide an architecture for systematic change. And this is what I'm personally as well nowadays much interested in seeing what is the new role of city, what is the new role of public sector, how we can encourage this systematic change and how we can link to this as a global movement on using the digitalization and developing these, what there is number 4, adapt an ecosystem approach, not only creating something, but to delivery, so creating something together. Here, a slide about smart specialization. On the right-hand side, so there is a map of Europe and a few figures, and with this smart specialization, you can easily find a lot of very useful material from the EU Smart Specialization Platform. platform of material on internet. So use some of these keywords on internet, so you will find that. And I listed here that when we started this about 10 years ago, I was part of the small EU kind of Miro group, which developed the concept, and these were defined the key challenges, and especially these are partly my own when I applied that in my own Helsinki region. So how to get our decision makers in universities and industry as well. So to understand, we need to prioritize, so focus on a few. Typically it's only 3, 4, 5 priority areas, not to throw out the others, but try to speed up the transformation. So because above all, smart specialization, it's an instrument for economic transformation, for global partnerships. And then the others, if we think about let's take challenge number 3, smart policy making. So how we can be moving our decisions at the political level more to use knowledge for kind of evidence-based policy. I have my own background on that in Finland. As said in the introduction, I was 8 years a member of parliament. There especially not only member of the Committee of Education and Science and Culture, but especially Committee for the Future. We created at the highest political level, a permanent committee at the parliament. 17 members are always elected. Parliament members are elected to be on that and share their thinking, have a permanent dialogue on technology assessment and other activities with the best scientific academic experts as well. And that has been one of the, let's say, positive drivers of importance of science and technology and innovation policy. Okay, I don't want to spend more on those, but then another, so that we can clarify that smart specialization is changing the societal role of universities as well, and highlighted the key points of that with the red color on the numbers. Universities should focus more on societal challenges, help the society to make the necessary changes. Then universities are natural platforms for entrepreneurial discovery, and especially on that creating favorable conditions for startups. Young and older people can create a lot more. Number 3, universities have a crucial role in creating these regional innovation ecosystems. And number 4, that they can get a lot for their own work as a key societal knowledge base when they integrate their work with these smart specialization regional strategies. And part of that, when I was the president, I challenged our Committee of the Region members, asked that now I need 20 of you or 50 of you to write your own story that we will publish as a kind of forerunner innovation ecosystems. And we publish that as a guidebook and with the information there, Regional Innovation Ecosystem, Committee of the Region Guidebook, so you can find that from the net as well. So it includes 30 stories, kind of personalized perspective, typically 5 pages of each of those contributors being mayors working with their own team in their cities. And when I look here, I add here what I gave them for kind of instruction, what we want them to highlight. And hopefully, as most of them used the titles for the different chapters, show your vision, how your region is or city is becoming a pioneer. And of course, typically you need to, what are your physical, digital spaces, what are the conditions, what are your resources, what are the key actors, and then I said, no, don't stop there, don't make a traditional story of your vision and how to implement, but add there what kind of policy model, political model, local collaboration model, and your European-wide or global partnering model you are using. What are the new ideas, creative elements of that, how you move ahead, and then above all, tell us about the innovative instruments. What kind of instruments, where you use the EU financing or your national financing, or how do you develop your public procurement so to be part of the science and innovation policy as well. So this was worth of seeing already 4 years ago that we published this report after a very extensive short period of writing those, and use them as a lessons learned for the future. These are now a new instrument for the EU, European Green Deal, focusing especially on tackling the climate change. I'm one of the rapporteurs on that, so how to make that to happen in real life practice. And this means as well that practically on now the new EU recovery funds, recovery from the COVID-19, so 1/3 of the financing is obligatory to use on these climate-related Green Deal issues for the new developments and sharing the elements. Finland, our government has decided that we will use half of that financing and integrate that very strongly on digitalization and science and technology policy. So that means really a lot. EU is focusing on what does innovation mean. So experimenting, engaging, expanding, and empowering, they are the key. We have nominated now around 5 times the European Capital of Innovation. Barcelona was the first, Amsterdam, Paris, Athens, Leuven, and one more. And now why Finland? Just quickly a few slides for you. So we are especially a small country, 5.5 million people only, very large area up on the Arctic as well. So even here in southern Finland, we have snow already. So it's a different, and that is why investments in the environment are crucial for us as well. This is something for you to consider. I don't explain that, but that was something that as a drawing I made myself when I was a member of the parliament initiating innovation activities within the committee for the future at the parliament. So we had a huge expert hearing, and I had, let's say, a privilege to show this to the professor Ikuchiro Nonaka, from Japan, who is the really guru expert on knowledge management. And with this, I got him excited that Finland is a country where we take knowledge management seriously and apply that on a national level. And we defined these key 10 elements on that. And briefly, I've described what does it mean, but I don't have time to go deeper on that. But that's for your thought, so that you can start thinking, what does that mean and how to apply at least some of those elements in other parts of the world. I have here 2 slides of the World Bank study 6 years ago. They analyzed Finland again, some characteristics and big lessons from case Finland, what the others could benefit. I don't go them now through, but for your information as well. And this is about the place-based innovation ecosystem. Again, a link, you can find that the EU Joint Research Center publication number, you can find that study, Espoo Innovation Garden, Aalto University, how we created this mentality for change. So that was the first place-based innovation ecosystem report that the EU did, and that's only 3 years ago, 4 years ago, that they spent a couple of months on analyzing, and that was really encouraging the entrepreneurial mindset, not only for students, but the whole community, and increasing the collaboration concept, collaboration mentality, kind of mindset change, be more open innovation targeted. And these are some of the major questions that come from these studies. And now I'm personally as well within the next months to come focusing on some of these key questions. What do they mean for public sector development and how science and lifelong learning is a crucial element for improving our societies in tackling the sustainable development goals and tackling the climate change and so on. Key question work there is always how. It's not what is needed, because we know that very well, but how we can make that to happen. And this is one that we need to understand and go deeper on the level of the organizations. And for your information, I added there a nice, let's say, metaphor that I created with when I was the director for this Lifelong Learning Institute, Dipoli. For our staff, more than 100 experts were working there on developing, organizing professional development programs. And there I want to show that financial capital, that's a kind of basement. Then we build the rooms there, talking about human and structural capital on part of that individual and organizational concepts. What is your renewal capital? How do you develop the in-house processes? And then the relational capital, how you get your subcontractors, customers, your collaborators be part of that. And then I will just finish now with 2 slides. So when we look the EU structure, the governance level, so EU or the national government should be more like enable this systematic renewal where science, new knowledge plays a crucial role, and it should influence especially to local kind of bottom-up activities, local innovation ecosystems, hundreds of collaborative projects, international projects. And when we orchestrate those, or focusing on the targeted actions, so what I described with smart specialization in previous, when the role of cities and regions there is kind of middle management, so how to create the favorable conditions for co-creation culture, and the outcomes then are really the societal impact on all of those levels. And we need the kind of, with the national or EU governments, with the cities, we need solution-focused dialogue, and be inside the cities with the local ecosystem, with the local researchers and students and cities, we need to create these innovation platforms. And this is my summary slide. So coming back, so that it's innovation ecosystem, it's a systematic value networking, it's customers collaborating on that, it's catalyzing the positive commitment to knowledge and entrepreneurial mindset, and it's experimenting and sharing the results of these different activities. So thank you very much, and I'm really happy that you invited me to share some of the ideas coming from this very north part of Europe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Markkula, for this enlightening speech and talk. We can accommodate some questions if the audience would like to ask Mr. Markkula. Dr. Azhar, you are muted. Dr. Azhar, you are muted.
Dr. Me?
Azhar. Dr. Azhar, you are muted.
محمد أصغر
Dr. Azhar.
Hear me now.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to ask the professor from Finland to give a very detailed talk. All of this is ideal. And all those things which he has talked about has to face very real difficulties on the ground. The question is how to go about these difficulties and achieve your aims and realize the program. Because there are real difficulties. There are a lot of difficulties on the ground. We cannot fool ourselves. There are difficulties of intellectual rights. There are difficulties of geopolitics. So how to go around and do what you want to do and face all these things.
Okay, thank you. It's of course it takes time, but Finland, I think we are very good example on that. So because even in the 80s, so 35, less than 40 years ago, Finland was one of the lowest of OECD countries in our investments in research and development. We had established our university network, but the results were at that time very poor. We encouraged this, let's say, strong national education policy, started to make strong investments, so made a kind of a joint agreement between the industry and government of Finland to increase the research and development financing. And then in the 90s already, end of 90s, we created these new instruments, Technology Development Center, to finance, use part of the national financing. We created this special permanent committee for the future in the parliament level, so to start discussing why innovation is crucial for Finland. So it goes on step by step. It needs to have a strong political commitment. It needs to a lot of the local dialogues, but we've shown that even in the hard climate situation here in the north with a lot of ice and snow, we've been able to make that. Finland, we became an EU member country in '95, and on that, so we've started that we need to help the others contribute and collaborate globally as well. And so I think that it's really that strong commitment, and of course it takes time, and it needs a lot of the let's say academic people to be playing an instrumental role, have young researchers, young students, organize these professional training programs and so on. Thank you.
Your Royal Highness, please.
I would like to say that you referred to the triple helix.
Yep.
And I would like to refer to our tri-dilemma. In this country, we have the dilemma of hosting refugees, of balancing the budget, and attending to our nationals. In a country that has quadrupled its population as a result of migration over the past 2 decades and a half. In terms of algorithmic weighting, I noticed that the Europeans are very diligent, or some of them are very diligent, and you know about whom I'm speaking, in assessing their human capital needs and assessing how these human capital needs can shore up their need for a younger workforce. You have referred to city education or city research and industry. My question is, why is it that we cannot consider, as Foreign Minister Teo Moya did when he was heading the North-South discussion, Finland and Tanzania? Why can you not consider that one of the countries you described in the map that showed that map of the countries that were in a checkered color, I can't remember, but they actually happened to be Eurasian countries that I referred to. After all, you are Eurasian because the Finns speak an Ural-Altai language, which is also Turkish and Japanese. Maybe that's why you like Mr. Nonaka as well. But I wanted to say that why is it that we cannot today commit ourselves? We would certainly try as Higher Council of Science and Technology to offer you the city of Amman in partnership to develop a similar model to what you have described so ably. Just let me remind you of what I am talking about in terms of poverty. This is the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative and UNDP, from which I read. The pandemic has illustrated in many places the necessity of access to a telephone, radio, television, computer, educational continuity. We are teaching refugees in our schools, and you are taking the best, not you personally or Finland, but you are taking the best and the brightest. I mean, this is, I won't say daylight robbery, but it's certainly an acquisition of human capital, which is our most important capital. We're talking about multi-dimensional poverty, and that includes 560 million in sub-Saharan Africa, 546 million in South Asia, 118 million in East Asia and the Pacific, 66 million in Arab states, almost a fifth of the total population. This is a multi-dimensional poverty, and 40 million in Latin America and the Caribbean, and 4 million in Europe and Central Asia. What you are describing, forgive me, when you speak about the horizon turning point, is possibly construed by some as the horizon of the creation of a fortress Europe with the barbarians, the rest of us at the gates. So I think when you speak of good neighborhood, it might be at least an expression of willpower and of knowledge on all sides to talk about education, and in particular about the young, and how to address the subject of criminality, child labor, trafficking, and so forth. How can these inspired essential elements in knowledge economy, as you have described them, procreation of knowledge, affect people before they leave their specific countries? Why can't we do the algorithmic weighting in cooperation before they leave? They do, God knows, enough security screening because they don't want terrorists, but why can't we do developmental screening? And the president, I believe Qatar is the only country now, after the noise that was made about the football complex, that has created a WSP, a workers' security something or other provision. But in the 70s, we created an ILCF concept, which we presented to the International Labour Organization. That is to say, I was speaking for Jordan at the time. And we called for an international labor compensatory facility. So direct contracting, no severance pay, all of these issues were addressed in such a way that would help build the labor force in the country that may have suffered from the purchasing of talent that we suffer from on a regular basis. And then, of course, if we want to make longitudinal studies of who has left us, I assume it applies to Pakistan as well. We're accused of, we're told privacy of information and so forth. So the information we're talking about, the knowledge we're talking about, is never developed. So we need one of our prominent cities or less prominent centers of university education and of course innovation, to partner maybe with a city in your region, and to see how we can develop this platform together, not on the basis of a buyer's market or a seller's market, because the seller is usually the loser, but on the basis of a template of understanding that the main security element is the human being. I'm sorry to have spoken too long.
Okay, thank you, Royal Highness. So simplifying a bit, so there's a lot of, let's say, positive talk at the EU today about this, that we need to be more open finding new solutions on the refugee issues, because that is one of the real big global challenges that we are facing at the moment. And it's not closing the borders as such, but increasing the collaboration with the let's say cities, countries, people outside the EU. And maybe to be very concrete, because you proposed why not to have a collaboration with Amman and develop that in so what I can as well commitment myself doing is both to take this strongly at the EU Committee of the Region level, so with my links and role with this ARLEM Euro-Mediterranean collaboration as an example activity, what we could be having as a forerunner between us from Finland and Amman, and integrate to that. So actually the commissioner for that part of the EU external activities is a Finn from Lady Jutta Urpilainen, and she has a good, let's say, experience in advancing this kind of activities. I can contact her as well. And one element is what we have here in Helsinki and Espoo, the metropolitan area in our two cities. We have a couple of the UNESCO units on this technology and innovation. So take this issue with them, so that, because in this kind of twinning activity and then broadening the results to the others, I think that is something very concrete. And working with of course with your support on that, and maybe Dr. Professor Badran is a crucial person as well on moving this. So it will be one of the concrete outcomes that we will start working on based on this your conference. Thank you for the good ideas. So it's really concrete.
I have two words to say. Osnabrück University in the old days, and I don't know how old because I haven't been in touch, but Osnabrück University was the only university in continental Europe that studied the reasons for out-migration.
Yeah.
Do we have other recommendations or people studying the reasons for out-migration so we can partner with them as well? I mean, if we want to encourage the will to stay, then we have to study the reasons for out-migration.
Yeah, sure. And that is that we had that quite nicely highlighted in a couple of our Committee of the Region opinions, because we were looking really the root causes of the refugee issue and what is needed, where they should be putting the priorities, tackling the ongoing burning issues and burning situation, but as well building the stronger positive collaboration. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions for Dr. Markkula? Okay, we now move